Hi, I'm Lorena. I'm a spiritual life coach and a breathwork teacher. I primarily focus on Neville Goddard's teachings, and I'm here to help you shift your state of being and recreate your reality. I am so excited about today's topic because we are talking about Neville Goddard's quite well known manifestation tool, revision, how to do it, what it is, and whether you can change your past, which is kind of a wild thought. So, as I just mentioned, revision is a manifestation technique that has been established by Neville Goddard, and I will link the lecture where he talks about it below so you can read more about it. But essentially, it's a method where you pick an event that maybe didn't go the way you wanted it to go in the past, and you rewrite or recreate that event according to how you would have preferred it to happen. So, you are rewriting the story in your brain, in your mind, in order to manifest something different. Basically recreating your reality through your imagination. So many people use revision because they actually want to change their past. Let's talk about whether that's even possible. The idea of actually changing your past sounds crazy, but it's based on the idea that time is an illusion. Quantum physics tells us time isn't even real. It doesn't exist. Everything is happening in an eternal now, and we just perceive it in a linear way. And if that's true, if everything is happening right now in this very moment, then why wouldn't we be able to change or influence something that seemingly happened a while ago? But can revision do that? Can the pure act of rewriting something in your brain, in your memory, actually change the past? My personal opinion, questionable. I personally don't think so, but I don't know. But what we do know is that our memories aren't accurate anyway. Whatever you remember from an event is kind of filtered. Your brain is focusing on the most important aspects of that event. And our memories can also shift and change over time. So whatever you remember about a certain event did not really happen the way you remember it. You may leave out important details or add things that happened or forget things over time. It all depends on what you found most important about that event. And the stronger the emotional charge related to an event is, the more you remember that as well. So for example, if you've had an argument with somebody in the past, that argument maybe wasn't even as bad as you remember it to be, but because you still remember the emotions that came with it, let's say the anger or frustration or hurt, you remember those negative parts more strongly. So whether revision can actually change the past, I don't know. But I also think it doesn't really matter because you're not living in the past, you're living in this moment. And what a revision actually can do for sure is it can change your perception of what happened. And since our imagination and our perception of what happened ultimately create our reality and our future, revision can really help release unhelpful narratives of the past that keep you stuck. And instead of recreating the past over and over again through revising events and changing your perception of what happened, you can create the future you actually want. When you have any desire, the real purpose of an imaginal act is to change your state of being, not to forcefully change anything in the physical. When you have a desire, it's just a nudge that you're meant to experience it, not that you're meant to control or micromanage anything in your circumstances. It's a nudge to change your state of being from a state of wanting to a state of having, not to remain in a frustrated state of wanting and looking for something out there to fix it. Whilst manifesting, you're meant to live your life in this present moment, not look back at the past, not look so far in the future and wonder what's going to happen, but be here now. So the physical manifestation is actually just a side effect. It happens automatically when you change your state of being. The important thing is to change your state of being, not to look for the manifestation. And the same thing is true for revision. When you're revising an event, you shouldn't forcefully do it with the purpose of changing something that happened in the past. You're doing it to make yourself feel better about what happened. So you're not taking that into the future with you. If you're looking for proof of your physical manifestation, or you're looking for proof that your revision has worked and your past has changed, you're not living in the end anyway, because you're looking for proof. I personally use revision every day. I use it every night before going to sleep, and I revise what happened in the day. And why do I do that? Not because I want to erase the past or forcefully change something, but I do it so I go to sleep peacefully and I don't take the events that happened during the day that I maybe didn't like into the next day with me. I don't take them into sleep with me, and I don't take them into the future with me, because I want to live my life in this very moment and enjoy it and not dwell in regret of what happened in the past. Revision can really help you release unhealthy attachments to the past. It can help you release that emotional charge that I was speaking about earlier. It's even used in therapy to some extent. In CBT and cognitive behavioral therapy, there is something called cognitive reframing. So it's even great for your emotional and mental well-being, and that's what should be the goal of it. But still, from a manifestation standpoint, revision is also a powerful technique, because most people live their life based on what happened in the past, on their past experiences. They take what happened in the past into the future with them because they are so stuck emotionally and mentally in the experiences they've made, and also the experiences and assumptions they've observed in and from others. But if you live mostly in the past, you recreate those experiences over and over again, although it may not be what you want to experience. So when you rewrite what happened in the past and you change your perception of it, you stop taking it into the future with you. Now you can actually create the future you desire, rather than experiencing the same things you don't want over and over again. So let's finally talk about how to do it, how to use revision. So Neville Goddard recommends getting into the so-called state akin to sleep, which is kind of a drowsy meditative state just before you doze off to sleep. It's not mandatory to imagine in that state or revising in that state, but the reason it's suggested is because your subconscious is basically very easily accessible in that state, because you're kind of like on the edge of drifting off to sleep. But it's nothing to stress about. Please don't stress about it if you find that difficult, or you tend to fall asleep too quickly, too easily, or you're too awake and then you can't fall asleep because you're imagining all the time. Then you don't need to do it at that time. You don't need to do it in that way. You can use other tools. But this is what Neville Goddard recommends: getting into a really quiet, still, meditative state, and then reviewing the day or the events of the day just as an observer without judging anything. And then once you've done that, you rewrite every circumstance according to how you would have preferred it to happen. So let's say you got a message you didn't like, or that one person was rude to you in the supermarket. You mentally change that, you mentally rewrite that as if it had been different. And you do that until the new version feels natural to you and feels very real to you. This changes not only your perception of the past, but it changes your state of being. Tomorrow, it will change how you walk through the world. So when you encounter that person that was rude to you in the supermarket, you don't feel that same anger or annoyance anymore. You don't carry it through the next day. And because you don't have those feelings anymore, you don't have those beliefs and assumptions anymore that you did before, that person will show up differently for you the next day. I really like doing it every night before going to sleep, not only because it makes me feel better about the day I've just had, but also because it's a great exercise in meditation and focus and concentration. But again, you don't have to do it that way. You can also use writing, for example. So you could write down every event that you didn't like, and you can do that not only for the past day, but for something that happened way in the past. And you rewrite that into something that you would have preferred to happen. And use whatever tools you can use so it feels real to you. You can also use revision on the spot, right in the moment. You don't need to make a whole practice, a procedure out of it. But I also want to give a little disclaimer here, because I've actually hesitated to talk about revision for a long time because I don't think it's applicable or beneficial for every circumstance. And what I mean by that is I don't suggest using revision for large scale, deep rooted trauma. Trauma doesn't just live in our mind, it also lives in our body. And I'm not saying revision can't work for trauma. I think it absolutely can. But personally, I would suggest that it's more important in this case to make peace with the past and to release the emotional charge attached to what happened, and to just change our perception of it rather than rewriting the whole situation, the whole circumstance. Because we don't want to suppress or repress anything. We don't want to push it to the side. So if it's too hard to make yourself believe that whatever traumatic event happened didn't happen, and most likely it is because it's such a big thing. Traumatic situations reside deep within our bodies. Then don't pretend it didn't happen. Don't deny its existence. Rather, change your perception of it. Make peace with what happened so you can let go of the past, because that's essentially the goal, to let go of the past so you're not recreating it again. If you revise something successfully, it will change your complete outlook on the future. Very often, the new version, the revised version, feels a lot more vivid than what actually happened. It's not that you forget what actually happened, but the new version is just so much stronger and so much more present in your mind. And that just feels really good. I hope this helped you and you found it insightful. If you want to practice revision with me, I've launched new coaching programs, and you can find all the information in the description below. You can jump on a free discovery call with me so we can just have a casual chat and see if it's for you or not. And I also have a breathwork session pretty soon, which is all about embodying a new version of yourself, rebirth. That is also linked below. I'm wishing you a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon.